We're going to switch over to our main method in our program file, and this is going to be where we test out our customer and our customer list classes. To begin with, we want to go ahead and create an instance of our customer list. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll call this customer list is equal to a new customer list. We can tab to get that. The next thing that we want to do is we want to set up the delegate. And the delegate, if we recall, let's switch back to it, is going to be set up essentially with this type of a signature. So I'm going to copy this. We're going to come over to our program class, and we're going to create a private static. I'm going to paste this in. We can change this to be any name that we want. It just has to have the same return type and the same input argument list. And in this case, maybe we just want it to handle the change. If it was in a user interface type situation, maybe we would want it to update our UI or something to that effect. In our case, we're just going to write out something to the screen saying that our customer list has changed anytime that we get an indication that this is happening. When the event gets raised and then it executes the associated method that has been set up through that event delegate relationship. We haven't set it up yet. We're just defining the method at this point. We're going to go ahead and do a CW tab and then put in customer list has changed. Now to set up that relationship, if we go back to our customers list, we have this changed, and the changed is actually the event. And we can have many different methods that subscribe to that same event to get notification. And when that event is raised, it's going to publish, hey, something was changed, and any of the methods that have subscribed to that event are going to receive the notification. This is called the pub sub architectural design pattern, and we're going to get into setting up our relationship. So we have our customer list, we have our changed event, and we know it's an event because it has the lightning bolt here. And when we subscribe, because we can have multiples, we're essentially going to do a plus equals and then specify what is our customer list dot change handler. So this should be list, not with parentheses. So what is that change handler? And if we go back, we have the change handler here. So essentially, what delegate are we passing in? And remember, when we pass in something, we're passing in the name of the method, and it's going to be passed like data, but that's going to be actually the method reference. So it's going to be assigning that method reference and indicating that this is what needs to be executed when we are going to raise that event. So that handle change. So it's going to take this method and pass it in. It's going to set it up so that when this raises the event, this method is subscribed, and it's going to get the notification that something has changed. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, we also need to go ahead and fill our data, because right now we have an empty list. We haven't had any notifications. So this is going to be customer list.fill. Once we execute that, we should see that we're getting the handle change raised at that point. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and run our program, see that we're seeing that change come out. Notice we have customer list has changed, and that was essentially executed as a result from that event that was raised from the fill method. So we can see kind of how those things start connecting together. We're going to go ahead and we want to try to find an email within our list, and we want to go ahead and create something where maybe we write out something to the screen and maybe we'll do this because we have a couple different ones that we want to try. This is going to be a static void. Let's call this output customer, and this is going to be string accessed by, and then we're going to have a customer. We'll call this cust. And if the cust that's passed in is null, then we want to write one thing, and this is going to be CW. We're going to use string interpolation, and this is going to be accessed by, and then we'll use our variable name access by, comma, and then we'll indicate customer retrieved as null. Okay, otherwise, in our else condition here, we're going to go ahead and copy the bulk of that statement there, and we'll fix it up. So this is going to be copied down here, and we're just going to say customer retrieved is, and then this is going to be the string interpolation that we're using, so substituted at runtime with the customer instance. Now that customer instance is going to go ahead and execute the toString method, so we're going to see the data that is shown there when we run that. So now that we have a method that we can call to kind of look at what the data is, we're going to go down here and put in some calls looking for a particular email address in our indexer. So we're using our indexers now. So this is going to be string email address equal, and we're going to use one of the email addresses that are in our customer list. So if we scroll down, let's go with Don. So we're going to copy that email address and we're going to paste it in here. Then we're going to try to retrieve our customer. We'll call this cust using our indexer. So this is going to be our customer list, and we're going to use our email address as the indexer. And then we're going to go ahead and output the customer, passing in the email address and our cust as well. Okay, let's go ahead and make that a nullable. And then if we make this up here a nullable as well, I think things will start resolving themselves if my computer gives me enough time to have that happen. We also want to do something that's not there. And you can use your email address, or in my case, I'm going to use my Rock Valley email address. We've already defined our string. We've already defined our instance of customer. We're just going to reuse them. So this is going to be j.kunkel@rockvalleycollege.edu. And then we're going to then pass that email address in and then do the output as well. We should potentially see something different. Then we're going to go ahead and we want to take a look at setting up indexers. And in this case, let's do something like I equal to customer list.count -2. That should give us a value. And then we want to get our customer. So this is going to be our cust equal to our customer list. And in this case, we're going to be passing in our I to get that value out. And we're going to go ahead and this time, instead of calling this with our email address, we're going to call it with our I value and just do a toString on that so that it's going to be the right type. And that should output that. And then if we decide to do something maybe with the actual count or greater than the count, let's make it greater than the count to really make sure that things are going to be out of bounds, because we want to check that. So we're going to add 1 to the count. Now in this case, it should try to throw an exception. So let's put a try catch around this. Otherwise, we should be able to get out the rest of this. We should not get into this code, but we'll put it in here just in case. That's the block we're trying to execute. We expect it's going to catch an exception for us. And if we do have the exception, we're going to go ahead and not do the .toString, but do the message that we print out. And then that's going to take care of our exception there. So this will go through and test all of our indexers. We've gone ahead and went through and did our fill. We want to go ahead and add something to the list and subtract something to the list. And we know that if we use our plus and our minus on our value that we want to add, that it's actually going to be using our add and remove methods, because we saw that programmatically that it's going to take care of that. So we're going to create an instance of the customer, and you can use your own information. I'm going to pass in my name, comma, Kunkel, comma, and this is going to be j.kunkel at rockvalleycollege.edu. And go to the next line. Now we have essentially our customer. We want to go ahead and add it to our customer. So this is going to be customer list plus equals, because we're adding it. We could do customer list equals customer list plus cus, but it just seems like this is a little bit easier to do, or we're just saying customer plus equals customer. It's going to do the exact same thing. And let's do a couple different things where maybe we're going to write out what's in our lists, make sure that we added something. And in this case, maybe putting in after add. And then we can go ahead and if we take a look at our customer list, our toString is actually going to, it's the customer, and let's look at the customer list, iterate through every one of our customers and write it out. So we can tell everybody that's been added to the list. So we can do the customer list. That should print out the whole entire list. And then we can see that whatever the new customer is that we added, it should be in the list. And then if we do the customer list minus equals, and then use that same customer, then we can do something. And let's go ahead and put after subtract. Then we can go ahead and output the list as well. Then we want to go ahead and test our equal, equal, and not equal that we added to our customer class. And we need two instances of our customer. We have one that we created, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at getting a customer from our list using an indexer. So we're just going to do cust2 is equal to the customer list, and use maybe the customer list dot count -1. That should give us the last element in the list. And we're essentially going to check to see if our cust is equal to cust2. We're going to try it first with our cust.equals. This was the method that we added that was generated by Visual Studio for us. And then we can write out something CW using string interpolation here. Cust is equal to cust2. And in this case, let's put in the is equal. We'll print that out. And then we're going to go ahead and do is equal to cust equal cust2. And then write out the result. And then is not equal. So let's go ahead and do bool is not equal cust not equal to cust2. And then let's copy this and change it out just a little bit. not equal to cust2. Then we want to go ahead and let's do some type of a dividing line here. And essentially we want to go ahead and add our cust to the customer list. So this is going to be customer list plus equals cust. So we're adding our initial cust, that's our record that we just entered, putting it onto the list itself. Then we're going to go ahead and get cust2 again. That's essentially going to be the same instruction, get the last element from the list. And this time we're going to go ahead and go through our checks one more time, and we should get different results back. So we're just going to copy this all down and remove the definitions for the fields that were created above. So now we have that added to the list. When we get the customer, they should be equal, and they should not be not equal. So at this point, we should be able to go ahead and run our test class and take a look at our results. So we can see up here, customer list has changed. We can see accessed by D. Goldman, customer was retrieved. Accessed by J. Kunkel, customer retrieved as null. Accessed by 3, customer retrieved as Don Goldman. And then when we tried to look for the element that was 1 greater than the count, that was going to give us an out of range. And then after that, we went ahead and did a push of our customer onto our customer list using the plus equals. We can see that we have our customer list has changed. After the add, we can see the customer record that we just added was added to the list. Then we did a minus, and we are getting indication that that customer list has changed. Then after the subtract, we notice that now that record that was originally added is gone. And if we look to see if the last record in our list is equal to the record that we added and removed, it's going to be false because it's no longer there. It's going to be false. And I think we must be using the wrong value here. So if we're doing that last one, we should be using this value to show here. So let's try this one more time. Let's rerun it. Make sure that this is stopped. Now it's giving us the right results back because we should be getting a false, false, true back. And again, we have to fix this because now we're getting true, 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 and it should be true, true, false. So if we come down here, this should be false that we're getting back. And now that we see that we are, so we've tested the changes that we made to our customer class. We've tested the things that we've done in the customer list. We've seen how our events are being handled, that it's going through and executing this method that we've set up, subscribing to the notification for when that event is raised via that delegate signature. And it doesn't seem like it's doing much, but we could be logging something to a file for future reference. We could be telling the user interface it needs to update. We could be doing a lot more things than what we currently are, but this just shows how we can conceptually put all the pieces together in a very simple example that we can understand a little bit more about how those delegates and events interact together.